We have a new sci-fi western from Image Comics with East of West #1.
And we have an all-new sci-fi team from Marvel with Guardians of the Galaxy #1.
Mark Waid sinks his teeth into Dynamite's Green Hornet.
And we have a new trade with all new X-Men.
Okay, so as you may have noticed, Dan is not here, so instead we have Ellie from Talk Comics. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I feel like a bit like Clerks, you know. I'm not even meant to be here today.
Yeah, no, it was very last minute bringing you in, but I'm happy to have you here to talk about some fantastic new books. So we'll dive straight in with East of West #1. Image Comics' newest book. Obviously, everything Image brings out is a hot property. So, I mean, what did you think of this brand new sci-fi western?
It was first of all, I really like the artwork. I'm going to start with that because I really like the artwork, and I'm a huge Hickman fan. So straight away, there wasn't going to be much resistance from me when it comes to the creative team. Yeah. The story is a little bit strange. I found the story was a little bit strange. It's got these kind of Age of Apocalypse, famine, and characters in there. And I wasn't expecting it. I didn't know too much about it before I started reading it, and I didn't know where I was going to go. But I found it a little bit strange, but good. Good beginning, strong opening.
Yeah, I mean, I picked up this book knowing nothing except for sci-fi western, and one of Dale's favourite genres is the sci-fi western with things like Firefly and Firefly. Can't think of any other examples right now. But yeah, so I'm a really big fan of those type of properties, and I thought this was a fantastic blend of the two with a really interesting story, something that's, you know, as you said, it's got the kind of Age of Apocalypse stuff in there, but having not read much of that, it's quite new to me, and it's probably the first Hickman book in a while that I've actually enjoyed. Like, I'm not the biggest Hickman fan. I tried reading the Ultimates and FF and Manhattan Project, and none of them really hit it for me. But East of West definitely hit the nail, got the mark, was absolutely fantastic, and some of the best dialogue in there. In a book I've read this month, so
I'm very happy
with that.
Well, yeah, did you can I ask a question? Did you think that the mixture between, you know, there's almost a fantasy element. There's almost a fantasy element to it. Did you feel like the mixture between the kind of fantasy nature of it and the cowboys?
I liked it.
Meshed well.
Yeah. I thought it was a really nice mixing of the genres.
In principle, I don't think it should work, but I think Hickman...
No, it definitely shouldn't.
Hickman is such a good writer. He kind of pulls it together, doesn't he?
Yeah, that last line towards the end, what is it? If you get lonely in hell, don't worry, because company's coming. So cool. Yeah, that was brilliant. So I was a big fan of that. Another #1, loads of #1s came out this week, and the big one from Marvel was Guardians of the Galaxy by Bendis. Yeah. Obviously, we had the .1. Me and Dan talked about it on the show a couple of weeks ago, but just quickly touching on that, what did you think of that?
Well, if we just go back to the .1 just very quickly, just a quick go, because without that, I feel that this is kind of a bit out of context. And that's a good point, really, because the .1, you really need to read it before you read this.
Yeah, definitely.
With regards to the .1, you know, you had this kind of history lesson, if you like, of Peter and what's happened to him and how he came about, really. I mean, literally, physically. Yeah. I mean, his birth, etc. and onwards. And then
stick on some Barry White while you're
and then it just stops, doesn't it, towards the end? And then you've just got this Iron Man moment, which was the... I should spoiler alert that, really, but...
Well, he's on the cover, he's promoted in the book.
Yeah, by the time you hit the #1, once you've seen #1 and we've shown you the cover here, you know Iron Man's there. I suppose this is really the beginning of them going out into space and doing what they do best.
Yeah, getting into the nitty-gritty of it.
Getting into the... Yeah, exactly. And there's a space battle in there. Iron Man starts up, I think, really, with getting attacked, and they all get on it together.
Yeah, no, I found this issue... considering they had the .1 to get kind of some of the backstory out of the way, and they were just able to go into this #1 with a kind of explosion of action and not having to do too much character development, but you know, they still had it in there. They had some really nice scenes between Star-Lord and, well, I won't spoil it because it was a bit of a surprise to me, but The interactions in the opening are really interesting, and then towards the end. But smack bang in the middle, you get this amazing space battle, which kind of harkened back to the old classic comics where it used to just be pages of smack bang pow, and I found that really exciting. And I don't know about yourself, but I'm a fan of the new Iron Man suit. I really like it.
I don't like the new Iron Man suit. I think it looks terrible, but it doesn't matter to me that much. I don't think it's critical. I think that these two books really focus on his daddy issues.
Yeah, they really do.
That is the strong focus.
And I like it. It's
Peter Quill's daddy issues turn up a lot, and it reminds me a lot of Invincible.
I haven't read Invincible yet. I've been meaning to get around to it, but I think I know what you mean. Like I've read some synopsis.
If those people that have read Invincible, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's got a very interesting, similar twist, and not only that, if you use the AR on your phone, you know, or your device that allows you to look at the AR, the augmented reality stuff that they have in there. Brian Michael Bendis has an interview and he talks about what happened and why he's decided to do this storyline. Oh, and that was actually really interesting. I watched that and it was good.
I'll have to definitely give that a check out because I don't tend to do the AR codes because I tried it once and it was all a bit awkward and a bit strange and very cheesy, but I will have to give it a go on there, see what Bendis has to say.
I did like it, by the way. I don't know if I pointed that out.
Yeah, I think we both loved this book.
Sure.
So this is the first time on the show that we've talked about a Dynamite book.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we've never talked about one yet.
Okay.
Until right now.
Right.
And it's Mark Waid's writing Green Hornet. Mark Waid, of course, famous at the moment for doing Daredevil. That is kind of his big book right now. I'm reading it. I'm absolutely loving it. So I saw this, thought, picking that up.
Yeah. I would have picked that up as well. I mean, Mark Waid's one of my favourite writers.
Yeah, he's absolutely brilliant. However, having said that, I don't think this book is necessarily his best.
I didn't like it.
No,
I didn't like it. I love the artwork inside.
The artwork is very nice, very classic, kind of pulpy, which I like. It's all set. They haven't tried to bring Green Hornet into the nowadays. No,
it's very stylistic.
The present. That's the word I was looking for.
It's very stylistic.
Yeah. And it's also, and they even say at the start it's set in a time before the internet, which I found really interesting. But yeah, there was just something about the execution in this book that just wasn't there.
I mean, I wouldn't pick up the second one. I mean, I can tell you that now. I think the biggest issue I had was the take he had on Green Hornet. They planted him as in like some kind of spy, if you want, double agent inside the mafia or whatever it is that was going on. Yeah. And then they kind of like, and there was no twist because you knew he's not a bad guy.
Yeah.
But they made him out to be like a bad guy at the beginning. And I was just, it was very transparent. The storyline was very transparent. I didn't feel that there was much intrigue. I wasn't like excited, oh my God, what's going to happen in the next book. Kato was interesting.
Yeah, they kept his background kind of mysterious.
Yeah, there wasn't enough of him, I don't think, as well. Yeah. You don't get to see him like, you know, do what he does best, which is, you know, wipe the floor. I think that they made the Green Hornet a bit more of a stronger character, you know, action-wise, and more hands-on than hands-off than he normally is.
Yeah, I mean, I'd had no exposure to the Green Hornet previous to picking this up, and
I mean, Kevin Smith had a great run.
Oh no, that's a lie. Actually, I've watched the film.
What did you think of the film?
It was alright.
It was entertaining, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's not the best movie you've ever seen, but if you go in and you see, I'm going to watch some comedy for.
Not too bad. But yeah, this is a very different interpretation, and not a good one for me. So I personally wouldn't recommend picking it up. And yeah, it was a bit of a letdown on Mark Waid's part, which is a shame because his work on Daredevil is so strong.
And on so many other projects. The guy's a legend. I love Mark Waid.
Is indeed. So we have, to our knowledge, the first Marvel Now trade that has finally come out, it being all new X-Men. Now, before we get on to the actual content of the book, we should talk a bit about the actual book itself.
Yeah, this is a hardcover that's come out.
Yes.
And there's no There's no
It's no slipcase.
No
This is
slipcase.
all just
it's
as is printed on.
Quite strange, and the spine actually as well. They've got this new style. At the bottom they've got like a little image of the character, and it's got this white spine and then a small Marvel at the top. It didn't used to be like that. A lot of them are black spines with a strong big Marvel symbol at the top, or one at the bottom sometimes. But this is definitely new.
And also we now have the digital integration, the kind of
digital code inside.
Yes,
and it's in the back.
Into it.
And you can see it's actually coming right out of the book here. It's card and it has a code on it for you to put.
And you can not take it out either, can you?
No, it's not. It's not got any serrated stuff in it, so you can't rip it out. And there's actually an advert in here as well, which is not normal. I've never seen that before inside a hardcover. So it is quite strange. It's a new. It's a definite new look for Marvel.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm not sure if I'm overly thrown on that. I like the outsides, not too keen on the insides. Yeah. But having said that, the actual content of the book, what did you think of?
I actually think that this is one of the best set of X-Men comics I've ever read.
Yeah.
And that's a strong word because I've read a lot of X-Men comics. and I think one of the reasons I like it a lot is because I know the backstory of the characters.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. For those that don't know, let me tell you a little bit of what's about. Basically, post A versus X, there's a big gap now between Scott Summers and Wolverine, and they're running their own groups. Scott Summers is walking around with Emma Frost and Magneto, and Wolverine is running around with the rest of them, basically, Storm and whatnot. And they're still running well, it's not Professor X's school anymore.
No, it's Jean Grey's.
Jean Grey's. And they're wondering what to do. They're in a lose-lose situation where if they decide to go against Scott Summers, they're going to cause a civil war, which could be an apocalypse for the mutants. And if they don't go against Scott Summers, then they're going to allow him to get away with what he's trying to do, which is to try and bring on the next evolution of mutants running maybe the Earth or something. People, they're unaware of what he's totally trying to do, but they are very worried. And so Iceman comes up with the idea between him and Beast to go and bring back some X-Men from the past and show Scott that what he's doing is wrong and his old self wouldn't have wanted any of this.
Yeah.
And that's the main premise of the book.
Yeah, which I think is, when I first heard that, I kind of thought, don't know how that's going to work. Seems like it's going to be a bit odd. But the actual integration of those characters into the modern world and how they approach the history of the X-Men is fantastic. Yeah. Instead of it being an exact 60s kind of replica of the X-Men, they kind of adapt it and they change it up. So, it's more of a Mad Men style X-Men, or that's the kind of vibe I get from the team almost. Yeah. And it feels fresher and they wouldn't be in their 40s by now. It makes sense timeline-wise. I mean,
but what comes across so strongly in this book is how clever the evolution has been.
Yeah.
And how clear the evolution has been from their the characters when they started off and who they are today. And it's not. You just don't realise when you have gradual change. It happens over a long time period, and it's almost like you forget because they're so slow, the changes and the developments. But because the writers, Bendis makes such a brilliant job of showing the clear differences between them, and Immonen's artwork is just absolutely gorgeous.
It's stunning. It is absolutely stunning, and the way that he draws the two different time gaps is fantastic.
He knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, he really does.
They've researched it. They've brought back the original looks. You've got, Jean Grey especially. You even see her second development costume around issue 4 or 5, and it just spot on.
Yeah,
really brilliant.
And seeing how the other characters, they kind of interact with her, because obviously there's a kind of, oh goodness, because she's kind of dead now. That as well is really interesting. And Bendis has done such a fantastic job with this. Yeah. And it says it on the front of the cover. This is the place to start reading the X books.
Yeah, it really is. And look, guys, I personally can't recommend this enough.
Yeah, no, I'm exactly the same. I don't think you need to have read AVX.
You don't need to have read AVX. It explains everything in there, really.
Yeah.
In a very brief way, sure. You know, you're not going to enjoy the full tapestry of the story.
Yeah.
But, you know, it would help, however, if you knew a little bit about.
Yeah, well, maybe it's one of the AR codes. Maybe that does a bit of
maybe,
history.
but the original X-Men, a little bit of the original X-Men, even if you just wikied them.
Oh yeah,
just look a little bit about what happened to them over the time period, because there's a lot of references in there that, you know, it helps if you know.
Yeah, definitely. So that is a huge recommend. Go out and buy the trade if you're not buying it in singles, because it is definitely going to be worth it.
Yeah.
Okay, so the winner of this week's mystery comic is down there below us. And if you want a chance to win Guardians of the Galaxy #1 this week, just leave a comment down below and we will select one at random and you will win that and it will all be fantastic. Also, you can follow the show on Twitter at comicbookshow1, which will start be posting more regularly. I have started using it now, actually. And where can people find out about Talk Comics?
Well, Talking Comics has been on a break. The recent weeks, we're having an Easter break.
Yep.
So happy Easter, everybody. This might be coming out a little bit later.
Happy Bank Holiday Monday.
Happy Bank Holiday Monday. But yeah, we're on a little bit of a break. So I've actually made a special effort for you guys. I hope you know, and I hope you guys keep watching them because they're awesome. I do. I know that much.
What's he like?
And you can watch if you type in Talking Comics onto YouTube. Or if you go to the Talk Comics website, www.talkcomics.com, then you can find all the information you need.
Yeah, it is all on there. So also don't forget to check back with us on Wednesday, where we'll be joined by yourself and Jimsicle and Dan for an epic battle in the Who Wins.
Was that epic?
You guys are going to be in for a treat. And then on Friday, we're doing our best of the month with another very special guest. So tune in for that and we will see you then.